I would say Drew made the first move. Or maybe my roommates did. I don't know. My roommates had seen Drew before and they told me that Brandon Zimmerman had a cute friend. I wasn't really around that much, and so they were kind of stalking him. And then I finally saw him and I was like, dang, he's cute. So I had asked Brandon what his name was and kind of asked him to initiate some things between us. But when we finally hung out, when it came to the first move, I would say Drew made the first move because I was way too scared to make a move on Drew, and I was definitely not going to be the first one to initiate anything. So I was glad that Drew did because I was way too scared.
So as far as the first move, I would have to say all the credit goes to Brandon Zimmerman, who's a good friend of mine back in high school and just happened to live across the hall from Jordan, which destiny proves was the best thing that ever happened to me. Because if it weren't for him, we never would have been brought together. Her and him were good friends from living right there, and Jordan told him that she liked me, which I didn't know at first until Brandon blabbed his big mouth and told me, which turned out to be the best thing ever. So then I got the courage to go write some notes on her dorm door and slowly begin to meet her, and after that, the rest is history.
On our first date, we went to Macaroni Grill, and I told him that I really liked that restaurant, so we went in Fort Collins, and we colored on the tables, and I ordered mac and cheese for dinner, and Drew was like, did you really just order mac and cheese for dinner? And yeah, I did. And he should know by now that I love macaroni and cheese because I ate it on our first date.
So mine and Jordan's first date was actually at Macaroni Grill because I had never been there, and we had talked about it for quite a while, and we just decided to go there, which turned out to be a really great night and kind of turned into a tradition from there for a little while. On our anniversaries, we would go back and just remember the first day that we went on our first date. Even the day that I officially asked her to be my girlfriend, that's where we went because it just felt right, and it was a great experience.
I can't pinpoint a moment that I knew that I loved Drew. I just felt like I loved Drew, and I knew that if he broke up with me, I was gonna be really, really sad about it. And I knew I wanted to tell him that I loved him, but I was too scared to tell him because I didn't know what he was gonna say back because I knew that he really liked me, but I didn't want to scare him and be like, oh my gosh, I love you. So I was pretty held back about my feelings, and because I didn't want to tell, no girl wants to tell someone they love them and not hear it back. So I was scared to tell him, but I remember the first time he said that he loved me, he wrote it in a Valentine's Day card, and I was made me so happy that he wrote that because we both wrote it in the cards coincidentally. And so then it was this moment that we both had written it to each other, but we were too scared to say the words to each other. But I remember that moment sitting in my room and reading that, and I was so happy. I didn't know I was gonna marry Drew until Drew asked me to marry him. I knew that I wanted to marry Drew after we had been around each other's families, and I saw how well he fit into my family, and that was really important to me. And then after I had spent time with Drew's family, and they were so great, and everyone was so nice, and I just could really see myself fitting into their family, and I just knew it was something that would work out, and I would be really happy, and it would be great, and I knew that I wanted to marry him, and that if we got married, our families would get along really well together, and I knew that Drew and I got along together really well, but once you brought our families into it, I knew that it was right, and that obviously when he asked me to marry him, I had no hesitation.
So the first time that I knew that I loved Jordan was actually before we even started dating, which is kind of hard to say because I wouldn't say back then I characterized it as love, but it's a really good friendship. Because I don't know if many people know this, but after we had met, I actually moved back home to Kansas for a semester in a summer. And during that time, I had worked overnights at a job that doesn't need to be said at this point. But long story short, we'd stay up and Skype since I was on a completely different schedule from everyone else, and she would stay up with me and talk to me all night. And I will say for a fact that if we didn't have such a great connection, neither of us would have invested that kind of time. And it is one of the best memories I have of us as we were beginning to date.
Other than his charming good looks, I love Drew's kindness and his patience, and he's a very generous person, and he's very driven, and I think we appreciate that about each other because we push each other to be better always, and I appreciate that he's always pushed me to be better, and he's really smart, and I really like that. And he's really funny, even though sometimes I don't appreciate all of his jokes. He does make me laugh, and he's funny. And he always knows how to get a smile out of me if I'm cranky or grumpy or I had a bad day. And so I really appreciate that about Drew.
Well, this is an easy one. Because first, just to keep it PG, I'm going to start with personality, because her and me have always just had a great connection. We have similar interests. We love doing the same kind of things. I trust her. I know that she would never do anything to intentionally hurt me, and trust is definitely the key to having a really strong, stable, long-lasting relationship. But then on the physical side, it's as simple as the booty. I'm a booty guy and I love the big booty, so we'll just leave it at that.
I would say Drew probably gets annoyed when I can't make up my mind about something, which is pretty frequently, whether it's deciding where to eat or what we're gonna do. Or making big decisions. I am very indecisive and it's embarrassing, but he probably gets really frustrated about that, and probably sometimes the fact that I am late. Like I'll rush him to get ready, and then I'm not ready all the way, and so then he probably gets mad at me for that.
I think since we started living together, I've picked up on a couple things that Jordan particularly doesn't like that much. First of all, I got my little puppy Rita that I just can't tell no to come sleep in bed with us. So I always keep her on my side because, believe me, Jordan loves her space. She loves to be properly fed and slept or she's not very happy. So I make sure that when I have the little puppy up there, her and me cuddle together, and Jordan has her sleep time, so she's in a great mood. The other thing might just be as simple as video games, because what can I say? She got me an Xbox One, I'm gonna use it.
Well, first, Drew definitely can't live without popcorn. That is for sure. He loves popcorn. He eats it probably every day, and it's a given if we go to the movies, we're getting a bag of popcorn to share. Drew also probably can't live without video games, whether that's his Xbox or on his phone when he plays his Looney Tunes game or his Super Surfer game that he plays all the time. Or I think his newly acquired possession that he can't live without is his bathrobe, which is hilarious because he looks like an old man walking around in his bathrobe. But he loves it, and I don't think he'll ever give it up now.
This is about the easiest question I've gotten so far. I'm gonna leave it this simple. Mozzarella sticks, garlic knots, bagels, coffee, and Rita. That's it. She gets that, she's happy.
This is really weird, but I hate the way that he hangs his towels or how he uses towels, which is weird and stupid. But for instance, he will use one of the nice bath towels to clean up a drink that spilled on the floor instead of using one of the rag towels. Or one time, he chose to bathe Rita and use also one of the nice bath towels instead of one of the rag towels. And it cracks me up the way that he hangs towels, because he'll like wad them up and shove them in the rack, or like shove them on the oven rack. And I'm like, do you ever think that that is gonna dry, wadded up like that? And he's like, I don't know, not a big deal. So that's one of the things that I've noticed, is that is one of my pet peeves. I think that's my biggest one that I can think of, which is silly, but it cracks me up.
So don't get me wrong, Jordan is the love of my life, but she's not perfect, okay? There are a couple things that really stick out that can really bug me sometimes. One, she is very indecisive. I say, where do you want to eat? And she has no idea. Even though when she says she doesn't care, I'm like, okay, let's go to Chick-fil-A. I don't want Chick-fil-A. Okay, let's go to Cafe Rio. I don't want that either. Well, then obviously she has something in mind that she wants, so just tell me. Second, Jordan is notorious for taking a bite out of something and putting it back. And it doesn't matter what it is. A piece of pizza, I could maybe understand. Mozzarella stick, maybe. But a hard-boiled egg or a Cheez-It, I mean, come on, that's a little ridiculous.
I would say most of the time we're pretty fair. If I had to pick someone that wears the pants, I would have to pick myself. Just because Drew knows if I'm not happy, no one's happy. No, I'm just kidding. But usually he will go with what I want to do, which is generous of him. But if he feels strongly about something, obviously we do what he wants to do. But I feel like we're pretty fair and equal with our pull about different things. But I would say sometimes I get the advantage because I'm the girl.
So I have a feeling she's going to say this a little different than me, but I would have to say I wear the pants because, once back to the indecisiveness, someone has to make the decision, and that guy is me, and I will take responsibility for it because no one else will. But on the other hand, I can't discredit her completely, because I would say I rely on her for a lot of things, just like she relies on me for a lot of things. So overall, it's very equal.
Well, before he got his new car, my first answer would have been the Jetta, because that car annoyed me. Because it was, and I know it annoyed him, but it was always a guessing game of whether or not it was going to start or not. But now he has a new car, so that's not a problem anymore. And if I had to say if he would get rid of something else, I would say, sorry Drew, but probably your gastrointestinal problem. Because they affect me too, and sometimes you fart a lot and it annoys me, so I wish you could get rid of that problem.
So I can't say that there's an object particularly that I would want her to get rid of. It would be her attitude when it comes to having fun, because sometimes you gotta be spontaneous and just go have a great time, whether that is hitting the volleyball, going and playing basketball with me, or golfing, or all those things that I know she doesn't like, but just once in a while, just go with me. It'll be a blast.
There's a lot that I could think of. I definitely think when I look back, all of my like high points in my life involve Drew, which is really cool. I still think the first night that it wasn't the first time we hung out, but it was definitely the night before he left to go back to Pennsylvania. And I knew he was leaving. It was like a couple days before the semester was over, and I knew he was leaving. And I remember I figured I wasn't gonna see him again, and he came and he knocked on my door, and I was getting ready for bed, and I looked through the peephole and he was standing there, and I was like, what's he doing here? So I opened the door and he's like, hey, just wanted to see if you wanted to hang out for a little while. And of course I wasn't gonna say no, so I got out of my pajamas and put some regular clothes back on and went and I hung out with him and Brandon and Andrew. It was just me. It was really late. It was after 10 o'clock that night, and we really didn't do anything except hang out and chat and watch TV and stuff. And I was so nervous to hang out with him, and that was the first night that we kissed. He made his move, and I was so caught off guard and happy. I could not even contain myself. I just remember going back to my room that night, and I figured I wasn't gonna see him again for a really long time, if ever, if he was moving back to Pennsylvania. And I just laid in my bed and was squealing, trying not to wake up my roommate, because I could not believe that someone as hot as Drew would make a move and kiss me. And I was so excited, and I was just well, cross that off my bucket list. I'm so happy that happened. And then just some other things was obviously the day that he gave me Rita was such a surprise, and I love surprises, and I was so happy, and I just could not believe it. I couldn't believe that there was this little tiny puppy in a box that was mine. And then of course the night we got engaged, that was a huge surprise, and every time I think about it, it's just so happy.
So a couple things really stick out when I think about this. I mean, getting engaged was obviously just an amazing night. There's been so many memories, it's hard to really just pick out exactly what it was, but I'd say the things that really stuck with me are before we were officially together. She was always there to pick me up at the airport, which meant a lot. One time in particular, she kept telling me, since I hadn't seen her for so long, that she's gonna run and jump in my arms and give me a big kiss the second she saw me, and that's exactly what happened, and I will never forget that. It meant so much.
Hey baby, I think I wanna marry you.